The vast expanse of the galaxy held countless secrets, but none were as feared as the Titan Reaper, a starship of unimaginable power. It hovered silently above a dying star, its jagged silhouette a grim reminder of the warlord Darcola's dominion. The ship's metallic surface reflected the faint, dying light, casting ominous shadows across the void. Darcola stood at the helm of his war chamber, a towering figure encased in an obsidian exosuit. His crimson eyes glowed beneath a darkened helmet, radiating a blend of intelligence and malice. Clad in a gauntlet infused with cosmic energy, Darcola had forged his path through destruction, enslaving planets and extinguishing any who opposed him. His rise from a mere rogue soldier to a galactic tyrant was steeped in betrayal and bloodshed. Years ago, Darcola was a low-ranking officer in the Galactic Vanguard. His strategic brilliance, coupled with an unrelenting thirst for power, earned him both allies and enemies. During a critical battle, he betrayed his own fleet, sabotaging their mission to claim a fabled artifact rumored to hold unparalleled power. That artifact, the Gauntlet of Despair, bound itself to Darcola, amplifying his strength but feeding off his darkest desires. It turned him into a being of immense might and insatiable ambition. The Gauntlet's influence consumed him, pushing Darcola to raise entire civilizations in his quest for control. His conquest became legendary, and resistance forces crumbled before his overwhelming might. His reputation as a merciless warlord spread across the stars, leaving a trail of scorched planets and broken hopes. Among his victims was a once thriving colony on the peaceful planet of Ardones. It was here that Zoombi's life took a devastating turn. Zoombi had been a celebrated commander in the Galactic Vanguard, known for his unyielding sense of justice and unwavering loyalty. Stationed on Ardones to oversee its protection, he had led his forces with a vision of peace and unity. But Darcola's invasion changed everything. The attack on Ardones was swift and brutal. Darcola's forces descended like a plague, their advanced weaponry overwhelming Zoombi's defenders. Despite his efforts, Zoombi could not stop the massacre. Entire cities were reduced to ash, and the screams of the innocent haunted him as he watched his comrades fall one by one. In the final moments of the siege, Darcola himself confronted Zoombi, offering him a chance to join his cause. Zoombi refused, only to be left broken and humiliated, his defeat etched into his soul. After the fall of Ardones, Zoombi became a drifter, wandering the galaxy aimlessly. The man who had once inspired hope was now a shadow of his former self. Racked with guilt and burdened by failure, he sought solace in the farthest reaches of the cosmos. It was there, in the ruins of an ancient temple on a desolate moon, that he encountered the Keeper of Shadows. The Keeper, an enigmatic being of pure energy, sensed the despair that consumed Zoombi. It offered him a chance at redemption, binding him to chains of dark energy forged from the remnants of fallen stars. These chains, imbued with otherworldly power, were a gift and a curse. They granted Zoombi the strength to challenge even the mightiest of foes, but demanded that he confront the darkness within himself. As Zoombi wrestled with his transformation, Darcola's tyranny spread unabated. The warlord's latest conquest was a colony of peaceful artisans, known for their intricate star maps. Darcola viewed their knowledge as a threat to his rule, ordering their annihilation. When news of this atrocity reached Zoombi, it awakened a fire he thought had long been extinguished. This time, he vowed, he would not stand idly by. The galaxy trembled as the paths of these two figures, one consumed by ambition, the other by redemption, hurtled toward collision. Zoombi knew he could not undo the past, but he was determined to ensure that Darcola's reign of terror ended. The stage was set, and the stars bore witness as the fallen commander prepared to confront the warlord who had shattered his world. As the Titan Reaper loomed above, its shadow stretching across the void, the final chapter of their intertwined destinies began to unfold. The ruined temple on the desolate moon seemed to pulse with an ancient energy, its crumbling walls etched with glyphs that told the stories of forgotten civilizations. Zoombi stood in its heart, his breath echoing in the cavernous void. He was drawn here by whispers in the ether, voices that beckoned him toward a destiny he had yet to understand. As he wandered deeper into the temple, the air grew colder, and an eerie luminescence began to emanate from the walls. The ground beneath him trembled as a figure emerged from the shadows, an ethereal being composed of dark, swirling energy. The Keeper of Shadows loomed before him, its form shifting with each flicker of the dim light. Its voice echoed within Zoombi's mind, bypassing sound altogether. "Zoombi, son of the fallen," the Keeper intoned, its voice reverberating like the hum of a distant star. "You carry the weight of your failure like a shackle, yet within you burns the spark of defiance. Do you seek power to right the wrongs you could not prevent?" Zoombi hesitated. Memories of Ardonis flooded his mind. The screams of the dying, the smoldering ruins, and the cold laughter of Darcola. He clenched his fists, his body trembling with rage and regret. "I seek justice," he growled. "Not for me, but for those who cannot fight back." The Keeper seemed to study him, its presence both menacing and strangely comforting. "Justice comes with a price," it said. "To stand against the darkness, you must embrace it. Will you bear the chains of power, knowing they will bind you as much as they will empower you?" Zoombi nodded, his resolve firm. "I'll bear whatever burden I must, so long as it leads to Darcola's downfall." The Keeper extended a shadowy hand, and chains of pulsating dark energy materialized around Zoombi. They coiled around his arms and chest, their touch cold and unyielding. Each link shimmered with a faint glow, like fragments of dying stars. As the chains tightened, Zoombi felt a surge of power course through his veins, a strength unlike anything he had ever known. It was raw and unrelenting, a force that threatened to consume him if he lost control. "Remember, warrior," the Keeper said, "these chains bind you to your purpose. Should your heart waver or your resolve falter, they will turn on you. Wield them wisely, for they are both your weapon and your judge." Zoombi staggered as the transformation completed. The chains hummed with energy, responding to his every thought. He raised his hand, and the chains extended, whipping through the air with deadly precision. They wrapped around a massive stone pillar, shattering it into fragments. Zoombi stared at the destruction, equal parts awed and unnerved. The Keeper began to fade, its voice echoing one final warning. "Darcola is no ordinary foe. His power rivals the gods, and his heart is as black as the void. To face him, you must become more than a man. You must become vengeance itself." Left alone in the temple, Zoombi tested his newfound abilities. The chains seemed to have a life of their own, moving with preternatural speed and precision. They could form shields, pierce through steel, and even emit bursts of energy that disintegrated anything in their path. Yet with each use, Zoombi felt the weight of the chains grow heavier, a reminder of the Keeper's words. As Zoombi left the temple, the barren moon stretched out before him, its surface illuminated by the pale light of a distant sun. He gazed at the stars, each one a potential battleground in the war to come. The chains coiled around his arms like serpents, their weight a constant reminder of the responsibility he now bore. Zoombi's first test came sooner than expected. As he made his way toward a hidden resistance base, he encountered a squadron of Darcola's enforcers. These cyborg warriors, clad in armor that reflected their master's dark design, were rounding up prisoners from a nearby mining colony. The sight of innocent men and children being dragged toward execution reignited Zoombi's fury. Without hesitation, he unleashed the chains. They lashed out like living weapons, slicing through the enforcers' armor and disabling their advanced weaponry. The battle was swift and brutal. Zoombi fought with a ferocity that surprised even himself, his movements guided by instinct and the chain's unnatural intelligence. When the dust settled, the prisoners stared at him in awe and fear. To them, he was a savior wrapped in shadows, a figure both terrifying and heroic. Zoombi didn't linger to explain himself. He simply destroyed the Enforcer's ships to prevent pursuit and vanished into the night. Word of Zoombi's actions spread quickly. Whispers of a dark warrior wielding chains of cosmic power began to circulate among resistance fighters and Darcola's forces alike. To the oppressed, he was a symbol of hope. To the tyrant, a growing threat. Zoombi knew the battles ahead would only grow more perilous. Darcola's reach extended across the galaxy, and his forces were vast and relentless. Yet for the first time since the fall of Ardones, Zoombi felt a glimmer of purpose. He was no longer the broken soldier haunted by failure. He was a warrior reborn, armed with the tools to challenge the darkness and a resolve that burned brighter than any star. As he continued his journey, Zoombi's thoughts turned to Darcola. The warlord's shadow loomed large, a constant reminder of the cost of failure. But Zoombi was no longer alone. The chains, though a burden, were also his greatest weapon, and with them, he would forge a path to justice or die trying. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, each one a beacon of hope and a reminder of the battles yet to come. Zoombi tightened his grip on the chains, his gaze fixed on the horizon. The time for redemption was over. The time for vengeance had begun. The colossal fortress of Darcola hovered in the void like a predatory beast, its dark spires piercing the fabric of space itself. Its surface pulsed with a malevolent energy, a testament to the countless lives extinguished in its shadow. Zoombi stood on the edge of a barren asteroid, staring at the monstrous stronghold. The Keeper's chains coiled around his arms like living serpents, humming with restrained power. The final battle had come. Zoombi's heart burned with purpose, but he knew the odds were against him. Darcola's fortress was defended by legions of cyborg enforcers, automated turrets, and shielded by an impenetrable force field powered by the stolen life force of entire civilizations. Yet Zoombi had no choice. He had sworn to end Darcola's reign, no matter the cost. From the asteroid surface, Zoombi launched himself toward the fortress. The chains unraveled, latching onto nearby debris and propelling him forward with lightning speed. As he approached the fortress, alarms blared and squadrons of enforcers surged to intercept him. The first wave descended like a swarm, their weapons spitting streams of plasma. Zoombi struck first. The chains erupted from his arms, cutting through the void with deadly precision. They shattered the enforcers' ranks, tearing through armor and circuitry as if they were paper. Plasma bolts ricocheted off the shimmering chains, their energy absorbed and redirected in devastating counterattacks. The battle became a symphony of destruction, Zoombi a relentless force of vengeance. He reached the fortress hull, landing with a resounding impact that sent shockwaves through the structure. The chains burrowed into the surface, creating handholds as Zoombi scaled the spire toward the central command tower. Below, more enforcers emerged, their numbers seemingly endless. Zoombi fought his way upward, the chains slashing and coiling with unparalleled ferocity. The fortress defenses roared to life. Automated turrets rotated to track Zoombi's movements, unleashing torrents of plasma and railgun fire. Zoombi leapt and dodged with superhuman agility, his chains forming shields to deflect the onslaught. One turret managed to graze his shoulder, the searing heat cutting through his armor. Zoombi gritted his teeth against the pain, his resolve unshaken. Finally, he reached the central tower. With a surge of power, the chain smashed through the reinforced hatch, and Zoombi stepped into the fortress's heart. The air inside was thick with the hum of energy conduits and the faint echoes of distant machinery. At the center of the chamber stood Darcola, his towering figure cloaked in shadow. Darcola turned slowly, his crimson eyes glowing like twin suns. His armor gleamed with dark energy, intricate runes etched across its surface. In his hands, he wielded a massive scythe, its blade forged from a material that seemed to drink in light. "So, the broken warrior has come to face his master," Darcola said, his voice a deep, mocking rumble. "Do you truly believe you can challenge me, Zoombi?" You are but a pawn wielding borrowed power. Zombie stepped forward, the chains rippling with energy. I'm not here to talk, Darcola. Your reign ends today. Darcola laughed, the sound echoing through the chamber. Fool, I am the darkness. I am the end. You cannot destroy what is eternal. With a roar, Darcola lunged, his sides slicing through the air with devastating force. Zombie met the attack head-on, the chains intercepting the blade and coiling around it. The two combatants locked in a deadly struggle, their powers colliding in bursts of light and shadow. The chamber shook with the force of their battle, walls cracking and conduits sparking as energy surged wildly. Darcola's strength was immense, but Zombie fought with a determination born of loss and vengeance. He drove the chains forward, striking at Darcola from every angle. The warlord countered with brutal efficiency, his scythe carving arcs of destruction through the air. The two were evenly matched, their clash a spectacle of raw power and skill. As the battle raged, Zombie realized he needed more than brute strength to defeat Darcola. He began to draw on the deeper power of the chains, focusing their energy into a singular point. The chains glowed brighter, their hum rising to a deafening pitch. With a burst of speed, Zombie closed the distance between them, driving the concentrated energy into Darcola's chest. The warlord staggered, the impact shattering his armor and exposing the dark core that fueled his power. Darcola roared in fury, his form flickering as the core's energy spilled out. But instead of retreating, he lashed out with renewed ferocity, his attacks growing wild and desperate. Zombie pressed the advantage, striking again and again with unrelenting force. The chains wrapped around the core, their energy clashing with the darkness within. Darcola howled, his form beginning to unravel under the strain. You cannot win, Darcola bellowed, his voice filled with rage and desperation. I am eternal. Zombie's gaze hardened. No, Darcola. You're just a shadow, and shadows cannot stand against the light. With one final surge of power, Zombie tightened the chains around the core. The chamber was consumed by a blinding explosion of light and energy, the force tearing through the fortress and sending shockwaves across the void. When the light faded, Zombie stood alone amid the ruins of the command chamber. Darcola was gone, his essence obliterated. The chains hung loosely around Zombie's arms, their glow dim but steady. The fortress began to collapse, its energy conduits failing without their master's power to sustain them. Zombie made his way out, the chains guiding him to safety. As he escaped the crumbling structure, he looked back one last time. The fortress, once a symbol of oppression, was now a lifeless husk drifting through the void. The battle was over, but Zombie's journey was far from finished. He had defeated Darcola, but the scars of war remained, etched into the galaxy and his own soul. The chains, though a source of strength, were also a reminder of the cost of his victory. As he drifted through space, Zombie's thoughts turned to the future. There were still worlds to rebuild, lives to save, and battles to fight. The darkness had been defeated, but the light needed a guardian, and Zombie was ready to bear that burden. The stars stretched out before him, a vast and endless frontier. Zombie tightened his grip on the chains, his gaze fixed on the horizon. His fight was not over. It had only just begun.